Scheana Shay has always been someone who wears her heart on her sleeve, someone whose life has unfolded not just behind closed doors but also in front of the unflinching eye of reality television. But nothing prepared her fans, or even herself, for the emotional bombshell she just dropped. In her forthcoming memoir titled My Good Side, the Vanderpump Rules star reveals something so deeply personal, so raw, and so brutally honest that it's already sending shockwaves through the Bravo community. According to her, her husband Brock Davies, yes, the tall, athletic, seemingly solid Aussie, cheated on her. And not just during some meaningless rough patch. No, he cheated on her when she was pregnant with their daughter, Summer Moon. The timing could not have been more devastating. The betrayal could not have cut deeper. Confession comes as a total blindside, even for those who followed their complicated journey. Scheana didn't drop this revelation with dramatics on a reunion episode or through gossip in the press. She poured it out in her own words, in the pages of a memoir where she's trying to process, heal, and finally speak her truth. She wasn't just a woman dealing with hormones, morning sickness, and the stress of navigating a pregnancy during a global pandemic. She was also unknowingly shouldering the weight of infidelity, the shadow of her partner's lies cast over one of the most vulnerable and transformative periods in her life. Scheana recounts the moment Brock confessed in vivid, heart-wrenching detail. She was frozen in place, almost paralyzed by disbelief. It wasn't just the betrayal that shook her, it was who had done the betraying. This was Brock, the man she had chosen after so many failed relationships, the man who had promised to be different. The man who she believed was her safe place. The man who'd helped her believe again in love, in redemption, in second chances. That very man had gone behind her back with another woman, a woman from his gym of all places, at a time when Scheana was growing their child inside her. According to the memoir, the infidelity took place in 2021, while they were living in San Diego during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. It was supposed to be a time of nesting, bonding, and preparing to welcome their daughter into the world. Instead, it became the backdrop for a secret that Brock kept buried for more than a year. And that secret would sit like a ticking time bomb, quietly eroding the foundation of their relationship until it eventually exploded in a moment of brutal honesty. Scheana writes that she had spent months grappling with anxiety. She couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right, but she also didn't want to become one of those women who couldn't trust the person she loved. She kept telling herself that Brock wasn't like Tom Sandoval, the Vanderpump co-star whose cheating scandal with Raquel Leviss had set the internet ablaze and destroyed his relationship with longtime girlfriend Ariana Madix. Scheana wanted to believe that she was in a different kind of relationship. A more honest one. A safer one. But in the end, she realized she'd been telling herself a lie to protect her heart. 'Cause Brock was like that. He was that guy. The same kind of guy she thought she'd finally escaped. The revelation didn't just sting, it gutted her. Scheana says she felt physically ill. Her stomach turned. Her body responded before her brain could even fully process what had been said. Here was Brock, already a father of two from a previous relationship, telling her that the weight of fatherhood had been too much for him to handle. That he had been scared. That instead of confronting those fears, he had chosen the coward's path. He had sought refuge in someone else's arms. In someone else's bed. He had allowed his fear to become her heartbreak. Scheana doesn't hold back. She admits that she lost it. Not just emotionally, but viscerally. In that moment, rage overtook her grief. She slapped him. Not out of calculated vengeance, but from the deep animalistic place where pain becomes too much to contain. She hurled a Rubik's Cube at him, an object that had been just lying around but suddenly became the only outlet for her spiraling emotions. She wasn't thinking. She wasn't processing. She was unraveling in real time. And if that wasn't shocking enough, Brock then handed her a letter. A letter. A pre-written confession he'd penned a full year earlier. A document outlining every sordid detail, the time, the place, how many times it happened. Everything. He had kept it hidden for months, unsure whether to ever share it, unsure whether honesty would cost him his family. Scheana read enough to understand the magnitude, and then she did the only thing she could think of. She burned it, set it ablaze, watched the pages curl and turn to ash, as if somehow that symbolic destruction could undo what had already been done. Her past had just been rewritten in one horrifying moment, and all she could do was watch it burn. But here's the twist. Despite everything, despite the betrayal, the heartache, the loss of trust, they stayed together. They found a way to claw back from the edge of the abyss. They got married in 2022, exchanging vows that must have carried a heavier weight than anyone around them realized. To the outside world, it looked like a beautiful wedding, a celebration of love. But behind the scenes, there was a history of deception and a fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, they could still build something honest from the ruins. It's a miracle, really, when you consider the circumstances. Infidelity during pregnancy is one of the deepest betrayals a woman can experience. It's not just about sex. It's about trust. It's about safety. It's about the idea that while you're physically sacrificing your body to create a life, your partner is supposed to be protecting you emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And Brock failed her. But still, somehow, they didn't break. Scheana writes that the healing process wasn't linear. It was messy, painful, full of setbacks. There were nights she cried herself to sleep, days she questioned everything, conversations that circled the same old pain again and again. Trust isn't something you can just choose to give back. It has to be rebuilt brick by agonizing brick. And sometimes you wonder if you even want to rebuild. Maybe the smarter move is to walk away and start fresh. But Scheana didn't. Maybe because she saw a part of Brock that still wanted to be better. Maybe because she believed in the redemptive power of love. Or maybe because they had a daughter together, and the idea of tearing apart their family was too heartbreaking to bear. What's more surprising is that she didn't use this revelation to villainize Brock. Yes, she's honest. Brutally so. But there's also compassion in her words. She acknowledges that he was scared. That he was traumatized by his past mistakes as a father. That he was, in some ways, emotionally unequipped to handle the pressure he was under. And while that doesn't excuse what he did, it explains it. And sometimes understanding someone's why is the first step toward forgiveness. Now, years later, they appear stronger, more united, more transparent with each other. But scars remain. And Scheana doesn't pretend otherwise. Her memoir isn't a fairy tale with a perfect ending. It's a story about love in its most brutal and beautiful form. Love that hurts. Love that heals. Love that survives. Her fans, of course, are divided. Some see her as brave, for telling the truth, for staying, for fighting. Others see her as foolish, for forgiving a man who betrayed her in the most vulnerable state of her life. But Scheana doesn't care what anyone thinks. This is her truth. Her story. And she's no longer hiding. Brock, for his part, hasn't made a public statement about the book. Not yet. But sources close to the couple say he's been supportive of Scheana's decision to include the affair in the memoir. That he understands it's part of their story, and that pretending it never happened wouldn't help anyone. He knows he hurt her. And maybe this is his way of owning it. What this story really forces people to examine is the very nature of modern love and forgiveness. Can a relationship truly recover from infidelity? Is transparency enough? Can a cheater become trustworthy again? Scheana's story doesn't offer easy answers. But it does offer one woman's attempt to wrestle with them. One woman's fight to reclaim her narrative. And perhaps most importantly, her memoir stands as a powerful message to other women. You are not alone in your heartbreak. You are not weak for loving someone who hurt you. And you are allowed to write your own ending, even if it doesn't look like what anyone else would choose.